Hey everybody, I'm Brandon Forsyth. I'm one of the ministers here at Northside, and we just want to welcome you to a little conversation that we call Summer Rhythms Applied. So all through the month of May, in our gatherings, we were talking about how to set up healthy rhythms in our families, especially over the course of the summer. And we wanted to put together some resources to help people to have some practical applications for that to apply to their lives. And so today, the theme of Summer Rhythms Applied, can I get a drum roll, please? Movies! I love movies, personally. I really do. Movies, they take the camera angles, the music, all these different incredible artistic pieces, and they're the storytelling engines of our day. And my kids are teenagers right now, but I saw pretty quickly in their lives that movies were an incredible bridge to connection and communication with my kiddos and with other people. And so I've invited a couple of my buddies. This is Leslie right here. This is Josh, and we are going to have a conversation around movies. We're going to talk about some of the things, maybe the boundaries or pieces that we have in place in our lives to have some healthy rhythms when it comes to using movies to connect to God and to connect to other people. So first, right out of the gate, let's nerd out a little bit here. Why do y'all love movies like I love movies? Whoever wants it.
Well, I like movies personally because I like to be entertained. I like a good laugh. I like emotion. I like seeing things that are not what you get to see every day. And so that is kind of like why I like movies. I like stories about different stuff.
And speaking of movies, are you not entertained? Gladiator, anybody? Yeah, no, that's a good line. That's a good line. Josh, how about you? Why do you like movies?
You can see a movie and you can be in the passenger seat of this person's perspective and see kind of what the story is. I also like movies because it can take you to places that you haven't been or places you can't go.
The next question would be, how are movies a part of the rhythm of your family at home?
Taylor is a movie guy and I'm more of a TV show person sometimes, but that is a way that we can connect. We talk all the time about like what we loved about it, what we hated about it, what we thought like, oh, I could have done that better, but also like, wow, wasn't that so cool? Like we have great conversation over the stories that we hear.
After we first got married, we would go to Tuesdays at Cinemark because they have $5 tickets. It's super cheap, $10 for a good movie. It's a fun thing to do to relax. And like you were saying earlier, it's kind of cool. It's like, hey, today's been kind of a downer. Let's watch a comedy. Let's have a laugh, and it's just a great way to end the day sometimes.
Yeah.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And I'll talk a little bit more about my family and how we interact in those. I want to get a little bit more specific to y'all. Leslie, if you guys don't know, Leslie, you are trained as a counselor, so I know you care about seeing people grow and get into a healthy place, both emotionally and spiritually. And movies and TV shows are pumping all kinds of stuff, all kinds of messages into our eyes, into our ears, through streaming, computers, cell phones, all of these kind of things. So as you think about how important it is to have some thoughtfulness around movies, what are some of the things that you and Taylor, her husband, do to bring some thoughtfulness to what you're actually going to watch?
I have a boundary of like, hey, if we're going to go see that movie, what is this going to do to us after? Because you might not think it's affecting you, but then what you're putting in your head goes into your heart and then it affects you. So what Taylor and I will do is we'll talk about like, okay, is this something that we actually need to be watching right now, especially in different seasons of our life? And having that boundary of knowing that this will affect you in whatever way. And it's the same with music too. Like, I don't know if you're driving down the road sometimes and you're listening to like heavy metal like I do sometimes and you're like, I'm a little angry. So being intentional with what you're putting into your body, no matter what it is, will affect you. And so are you aware of what's going to happen to you when you're putting that stuff in? So
is there any advice that you would give to people, whether it's couples or parents, about how they could set some healthy rhythms for movie watching in their lives?
So what Taylor and I do is we will research, okay, not just the reviews of people's opinions on it, but hey, what's in it? What's something to expect before we watch it? So then that way you're actually like preparing your heart in case there is some darkness or in case there's something, because it will affect you whether you think it will or not. And so to be intentional on the front end and then talk about if something did come up that you weren't expecting, to be like, okay, let's talk about this. How is this affecting you? Not just because it's emotions, but just the content.
When it comes to movies, you and Ashlyn, his wife, you've done some really kind of interesting things to create some healthy rhythms, some healthy boundaries. So can you walk us a little bit through what it is that you guys do and why?
Two of the websites we use are Kids in Mind and Plugged In Movie Reviews. Kids in Mind is definitely like a content overview. So like language, violence, and adult content, it'll tell you, hey, this is how much of that stuff's in there. This is what you need to watch out for. We screen every movie we watch. Doesn't matter what rating it is. But still, we just want to know what's going to happen, what's going to be in the movie, and will it make us feel uncomfortable. The other tool, which is it's available, it does have a cost to it, but it's VidAngel. VidAngel allows you to erase anything in a movie you don't want to see. You can turn off bad words, you can skip a scene entirely, and their content, they don't have as much as they used to as far as movies that you can screen, but I think it still has all of Netflix, all of Hulu, and so it's a great tool. Because sometimes you want to watch, it could even be a documentary, and you just don't want to hear F-bombs. And so it's nice to be able to say, I don't want to hear that. Let's just watch the documentary as if that never had it in there to begin with.
In my family, some of the ways that we have brought it into healthy rhythm is it's a great conversation piece. So my son who's about to go off to college, we will by the end of the summer have watched every Disney movie from Snow White on, and we've seen this culture changing thing and how it has changed over time, and it's been really good. And they don't always love it, but it creates this space where we're together as a family. And the other thing would be, and anybody can do this, not just ministers, but like I'll pause a show, I will pause a movie and go, hey, I trust you, we're gonna continue to watch this right now, but they're talking about some stuff that kind of goes against what God has expected for us, and why do you think this matters to God? And so we will have sometimes the kids get annoyed. It's true, but we'll have it, and I always want those seeds planted in their mind, because it's not like I'm running scared from the world, but we're facing it and saying, hey, this stuff exists. Here's why God talks about things like this. And so that's one of the things that we do. What are some of the things, like if you want to throw final thoughts for both of y'all? Anything else you'd like to add in as we have this conversation about how to use movies in a healthy way in a family environment?
We vote with everything with our money. And so if you go to Chick-fil-A all the time and you're just pumping in dollars Chick-fil-A, they're gonna do well, and they're gonna say, hey, people like this, let's keep making it. Same principle applies with movies. I screen movies that we are gonna go see before we see them in theaters, because if there's something in there and it goes so against my core beliefs, something that I do not want to see and do not want to promote, I will just not see it. And I know I'm one person, it's one vote, but if enough people do that, your vote will matter, and people will see, hey, these movies aren't performing like they used to, they'll stop making them. And I'm hoping that Christian movies, some of the Christian movies in the past have been kind of cheesy, but they've been making some great great movies, some great TV shows, like The Chosen, super high production value, really great cinematography. And so I feel like if you vote with your money for the things you want to see, they'll keep making stuff like that.
That's good.
Yeah, and honestly, like what you were saying, it's all about a choice. Like you have that choice to choose what you're putting into your heart and your mind. And so you can't just say, oh, this is how it is. Like, I can't get away from it. Yeah, you can. You can make the choice of what you put into your mind and into your heart. And I think that's one big takeaway for me is you always have a choice, and that's the freedom that God gives us. And so you can't change the consequences that come from what you put inside of you. Like, it's going to happen. And so you can make the choice on the front end.
Well, thank you guys very much. And I just like thinking about that, and we referenced Gladiator earlier, but as crazy as this sounds, one of the reasons the Roman Colosseum quit being effective was because as Rome transitioned to a Christian world, people quit going, and people quit wanting to see blood sport. And so the Christians, through their change in attitude, changed their culture. And so I like that you're both throwing out that, hey, we have something to say in this. And so just for everybody at home, thank you so much for jumping in with us and joining our conversation. We want to encourage you, because movies aren't going anywhere. They are going to be storytelling devices for a long time in the world. And so how can you be intentional about using movies to set up a healthy rhythm of connection with your family, with your friends, with your spouse? And what's one thing that you could do this summer to take a movie and make it an intentional moment for relational connection? So be thinking about that, and thank you guys so much for joining us. See you later. Bye.